Hi everyone, and thank you very much for joining. Happy International Youth Day. I'm Johanna. I'm thrilled to be a moderator today for this hosted by Fondation. I have background in strategic communications, a really big passion for amplifying youth voices and fostering innovation. We're really honored to facilitate this day between youth and Imani. Today we'll explore the role of youth in digital innovation, global decision making. All this ahead of the Youth Power Summit in New York City, our event together with Restless Development during the UN Summit of the Future. Briefly about the Youth Power Summit, it's a youth-focused event where young people, come together and engage directly with policymakers, share their perspectives, and advocate for their rights and well-being. So, with all that being said, let's dive in and make our voices heard. Are we ready? Primrose, how about you? Could you please just yourself and share what drives your passion for youth participation, digital innovation, and also what excites you about attending the Youth Power Summit in New York?
Thanks, Johanna. Firstly, happy International Youth Day, everyone. It's lovely to be joining this Instagram Live. As Johanna mentioned, I am Primrose Manyalo, and I'm the Senior Youth Collective Manager at Restless Development. My role is to lead the Youth Collective, which is youth organizations and young people that come to about 4,600 from 187 countries, coming together to showcase their youth power. At the heart of everything we do at Restless Development is youth power, actually. We are a non-profit agency that supports the collective power of young people to change the world. Where else could I be except there, where young people are coming together and taking a stand and making a change in their communities. That's what drives my passion. And also when I look at where I come from, there are a lot of challenges facing young people, young girls in particular, and I have to be at the center of change. I have to use my talents, my passion to be able to drive change, not only in my community, but to all those around me. The Youth Power Summit really excites me, which happens in a couple of weeks. Actually, for the first time, we are going to be convening young people in a youth-led space for them to have intergenerational dialogues, with funders and decision makers. This is historic when we look at where it's happening in New York. I'm really excited that young people will come together to talk about issues that matter to them the most. And when we look at the summit of the future, it's a defining moment for young people in terms of what the future will look like. Where else can young people go except there to really be at the center and to drive those conversations around what the future should look like for them?
Thank you very much, Primrose. That's a really great introduction to you and what you do. Really exciting. Really looking forward to hear more about that. But Imani, over to you. Would you like to introduce yourself as well to the audience?
Thank you so much. First of all, happy International Youth Day. It's really a great honor for me to join this Instagram Live. I am Imani Henrik Luvanga from Tanzania. I'm a journalist and digital rights advocate and the founder of Dig It with Imani, the podcast, which is focusing on digital rights and inclusion, AI, digital laws and policies, but also digital opportunities, especially for youth and women. So I had too many titles for me. I'm also a journalist and a trainer as well. So what excites me more, I think I will start from where my colleague has ended. I'm very excited because youth are going to make decision for themselves. Like no one is going to decide for them. They are going to decide for themselves because, when you decide for yourself, that means you know exactly what you want. It's quite different when someone is there representing for you. Probably they will present something that you don't want, something that you have never experienced. But when youth are meeting themselves, they are together on the same room with decision makers, they will definitely say their needs, what they want, what are the challenges, what is the best way to solve the challenges so that they can have the better future and the and they can decide very well for their well-being. So I think this is the most thing that excites me. Like, we are going to make decision of our own. No one is going to decide for us. This means our voice matters.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, young people's voices matter a lot,
Yeah.
and I think more people should realize that. So that actually leads us to our first question. So let's just bring it over to Primrose again. What does youth participation in digital mean to you, and why do you think it's crucial for shaping a sustainable future?
You know the mantra. They always say nothing about us without us.
Yeah.
The issue of youth participation is really contested because a lot of people actually say we are involving young people, they are participating, but we need to ask ourselves questions such as, are young people just in the room without a voice? Are young people decorated? Like, are we just ticking boxes in terms of the participation of young people? For me, this concept about youth participation even goes beyond just digital innovation. It's really a concept that can be applied in multiple fields in terms of how we work with young people and our intentions of working with young people. And when I look at digital innovation, I think I put down a few things. For me, the two key words not to forget are listening to young people and trusting what young people say, because this is actually where it starts. How much do we value young people? How much do we value their perspectives? And how much do we see them as experts, able to actually have a voice in issues that have to do with digital innovation? In this sense, there are a few key things that we can do. Firstly, digital innovation is happening whether we like it or not. We are living in the digital era, but are we pausing to consult young people? Are we creating digital innovations with young people? Are we creating conducive environments for young people to participate? And when we talk about young people, are we taking a step back and unpacking what a young person is? Because we've got young people with disability, we've got young people that are internally displaced, we've got various types of young people in rural communities. When we are coming up with digital innovations, are we creating conducive environments for various groups of young people to fully participate? The final and third point I'm going to make is around resourcing, because we may say, oh, here's a paper that says that young people should come, or you see an email somewhere in your spam that says we're inviting you to this high-level meeting, but have you resourced me? Am I fully resourced to be able to engage in that space and have my voice really fully being heard? So for me, I'll just recap by saying, once we listen and trust young people, they will guide us in terms of how to actually meaningfully participate when it comes to digital innovation. And when we do this, we actually are certain of a sustainable future for all. We are talking about the summit of the future. If young people are left behind and if young people are not consulted or involved, the future will not serve their needs and will not be sustainable. So if we meaningfully participate them, we are guaranteed of a sustainable future for young people.
Thank you very much. That was really, really good, insightful answer. Actually, I'm gonna give it right back to Imani. What does youth participation mean to you? I mean, I'm sure it's quite similar to what
Yeah.
Primrose just said.
Yeah. I mean, for my side, I would say youth participation, it's not only including them in decision making, but also including them in implementation of what you have discussed. Yeah. We are looking forward to attend the future summit, but we will be there maybe telling the decision makers what we want, our challenges, and even suggesting the ways that we want these challenges to be tackled. But are we really engaged in this process of solving these challenges? This is the question, because we have to, when we suggest ways that we can be engaged in, when we mention our challenges, I think we also want to be in the process when tackling these challenges so that we can be able also to see if the suggested ways are really working. If not, we be together in re-strategizing the new ways to solve these issues. But also, I think making an enabling environment for youth to do digital innovations. For example, taking in Tanzania environment, we have like so many challenges um, in digital innovation. For example, when we say like content creators, in this year's budget, like the government has suggested for content creators to pay like kind of VAT and revenue. But the question is there any friendly environment for me to be paid by the giant platforms like Meta and all that? Like just this week, Meta has given us an exciting news that they are starting to pay Tanzanian content creators. But you should not tell me to pay taxes at this very soon. Like I haven't even see how the business goes. I have not determined which kind of content I'm going to create, which kind of content are selling in my area that I'm making content. So I also think it's very important to involve us not only in just speaking, not calling me in high level meetings and meeting like high level leaders and decision makers, taking pictures of them, like telling my youth, I have been here representing you, but into implementation, then you take me away. I think we should be step by step with them, and we like doing this implementation together so that we can measure the impact together. And I think this will be the quite best way when we say meaningful participation and inclusion of youth in all aspects, but also without leaving back the persons with disabilities group, because they need like a special care. I once did an episode on people with visual impaired, how do they access internet, and it was quite a surprise to me, like how are they able to even chat, post on Instagram? And I saw that it's quite possible. So how are we going to give them the education on how to have friendly environment in digital space so that they can also not be left behind like other normal youth?
Thank you very much, Imani. On that topic of including youth in the actual conversation and implementation, Primrose, can you maybe share an example of a digital project young people led, or where people actually had an impact in the community?
So I'll just share an example of a project that I just recently completed leading. So we partnered with UNESCO. UNESCO are all things education. And we ran consultations in more than 8 regions. And these included Africa, the Arab states, the Caribbean, Europe, Latam, Pacific, Southeast Asia, and South Asia. We spoke to about 1,500 young people. And these were youth-led consultations. So we had young leaders in every region going to young people and asking them this simple question: is tech reforming the education sector? Is tech serving the purpose of, bridging the digital divide? What are we seeing and what are we learning from integrating technology and education? It's interesting that we are currently in the process of finalizing the global education monitoring report with UNESCO. That is coming out very soon. We'll actually be launching it in Paris first week of September.
Wow.
And what is interesting is the findings and what young people are saying. Maybe I'll just also delve into some of them and just share them with you guys to understand how young people are perceiving technology alongside education. I think, like I mentioned, post COVID-19, technology was thrust upon us, whether we were ready for it or not. It started spreading everywhere like a wildfire. And young people are telling us that we're using tech, we're using WhatsApp, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, to actually, learn now. And such technologies are being introduced in the class, but one of the things that they actually mentioned was how technology in itself is not the end. Digital innovation is not the end, but it's the means to accessing quality education, And it comes back to that point that they were making about the need for young people to be consulted, for learners to be consulted, for parents to be involved, for teachers to be involved in defining the most appropriate technology for a learning institute. What works in one context may not work in another context because of all the other far-reaching challenges like access to power, access to roads, access to good infrastructure, access to data. Look at how internet cost is very, very high. So sometimes a learning platform may not serve its purpose if young people actually do not have, subsidized data, for example. So it's a very exciting, revelation from that research that we just recently completed that's telling us about how technology could potentially improve education if it's rolled out the right way, and if it's human centered, and if at the center of it's used as a process to reach a better life in terms of accessing education rather than an end in itself. So that's the example that I will share, but we have lots of other examples that I could potentially share for your time.
Thank you very much for sharing that. That's so interesting. I'm sure, Imani, I heard a wow from you as well. It's
Yeah. So for me, there's this fun fact about me and my podcast. When I was starting my podcast, Dig It with Imani, I was only focusing on digital rights and inclusion, and actually digital safety and security, because I thought in order for a person to have freedom of expression, to do business online, to make money, to do anything digital, a person must be safe. They must be free, like they should not experience bullying, trolling, or any kind of harassment online. So that's why I mentioned earlier that I think we should include youth, like not only in decision making, but also in implementation. So I was observing like the feedback from my listeners, and they were like, okay, Imani, you are doing a great job on this. Now I understand why should I not bully someone online, why I should care, why I should be a responsible digital citizen and all that. But the question is, what should I do online if I'm not bullying someone? That was where I had like the aha moment, like, wow, I thought I have completed everything until I had this comment. Now I have realized that some youth doesn't understand why they should be online, and that's where immediately me and my team sat down and come up with the new component, digital opportunities. Like, this is what you can have online, this is what you can do. Like, I started featuring youth who are doing some amazing job online, or they have should initiate anything that some people can also take it as inspirational, or something that can learn from them. So I think the process of including your audience, or a certain group, when you are implementing or innovating something, is very important, because you might have been doing an amazing job but not touching all the angles that are very important, and probably you might be left something, the most important thing. Because I thought youth opportunity, when it comes to digital space, it's something very, very crucial, that people will be like, oh, there's there is opportunities that I can take advantage of online. So I was like, wow, this was the really wow moment. And when I started featuring some business coaches online, digital marketing experts, people who are doing online gigs, freelancing online, like, those episodes have quite big number of listeners, because now people are knowing. And it's also not only they are getting education, but this helps also to reduce the gap of youth without employment. So I feel like it's really, really important to keep exposing youth on the digital opportunities that are available there. Since, as my colleagues say, digital now, it's no longer an option, it's something that is must. But the fun fact is, I think maybe, especially in Africa, technology is ahead of us, yeah, because we were not ready for this when the TikTok came, Instagram, Facebook, and all that. They were there, but we thought it's only there for interaction. Until now, post-COVID, now we know that we can do business, we can interact, we can also work from home. Like now, we are here. Probably this Instagram live could be done in Basel there. But now we are here and everyone will listen to this everywhere, any day, as we know that internet never forgets.
That's true. Like, that's a really good point. Based on those examples you just shared, what key lessons do you think we are learning from those innovations that young people, everywhere in the world really can replicate to make the digital world more inclusive? Maybe Primrose, over to you.
Yes, thanks, Johanna. I'll share 4 lessons very briefly. The first lesson is that tech must be human-centered. Technology in itself is not the end. Like I mentioned, it's the means towards the betterment of society and the betterment of anything that we're trying to do. I went to this museum where they were showcasing robots, robots that help you with chores, robots that help you with, like a lot of different things. And it struck me how, people are creating innovations to make life better. But tech in itself is not the end, but it's the means towards improving our lives. Let's use it for that. The second lesson I will share is that it must aid in terms of advancing the needs of people, especially young people, particularly young people that are marginalized and traditionally left behind. Imagine what tech could do for blind young girls in rural communities not accessing education, or young people that have hearing problems, young people that live with disability, and a lot of other different types of, young people that are lacking access, and how tech could potentially just catalyze access and increasing access and making our lives better. And then technology and digital innovations need to be appropriate, and they need to be context relevant, because if they are not relevant to that community, they will not be used. We'll spend lots of money on a lot of innovation that will not ultimately end in any change at all. And finally, there is need for accountability and transparency. Accountability and transparency by those that are responsible for providing, digital innovation, or the vanguards of development of nations. They need to be giving us reports about the progress that's being made in country, whether digital innovations are actually resulting in the changes of lives. We should have development indicators that also just really have footnotes on digital innovation, and us having that as open data to be able to actually not just critique the approaches, but to also just input as young people on those innovations and ensure that they are saving young people.
Thank you very much. Based on that, Imani, what do you think are your hopes for the future of youth participation in digital innovation?
I can say the future is bright compared to where we come from. I think we all have witnessed it, the youth conference, but when you look at the participants, you can just say, are they youth? But now I think youth participation has quite increased, but also I think the awareness among us youth. I see a lot of vibrant youth doing amazing job in different sectors. Yeah, not only in technological sphere, in politics, in economics and all that. I can see the vibration of youth. I can see the power of them. So I think the future is bright, but I feel like we should still support this youth, but also we should not only point the finger to the decision makers. We could also point the finger to ourselves, that as a youth, as a young person, when you get an opportunity to do something for your fellow youth, kindly do it like you will never do it again. Because I have seen these claims like, young people, when they get up an opportunity, are just lazy, are not delivering it, are not meeting the target and all that. So I feel like there are some capable youth who have not got an opportunity to showcase their potential. So if I have gotten this chance and I have not shown my potential, I have not done what is exactly I supposed to do, this means some people will judge, like collectively will just stereotype, like all people, all young people are this way, so we better don't give them the chance. So I can say, as a youth, we should not give the decision makers excuses. When we get the chance, we should really do the job that we're supposed to do, so that, because when we are there, uh, we inspire also other people, not only young person but also children, because they are the tomorrow's youth. When they see that Imani or Prim are doing some amazing job, they will be, oh wow, I wish to be like her, I wish to be like someone. But when I'm not delivering, that means I'm giving the decision makers excuses. So let's decide for them because they can do nothing for them. Yeah, let me do something because there's this and this. But also for the young people, they will be like, oh, this life maybe is it's like how it is how it is. So I feel like we should really, when we claim for our inclusion in different sectors, we should also show our potential whenever we get the chance, so that we can prove that we can and we are ready and we can stand for ourselves.
Wow. Those were some really, really powerful words, Imani. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'll just right over to Prim. What are your hopes for the future? You've already kind of touched on that, but what are your hopes for the future?
My hopes for the future is a future where a young person does not need to worry about where they're going to get money to buy their next meal. My hopes for the future are a future where medication is, healthcare is accessible to all. You don't need to dig your own grave because you cannot afford to pay for your medication. My hopes for the future is that every child goes to school, and doesn't have to worry about attending school. A world that has no hate or bullying, a world that has no racism, a world where, as a young black female, leader, I don't need to work twice as hard to get half as much. I don't need to fear for my life when I'm walking outside thinking that someone might attack me, just for my color. I hope for a world where we have equitable access to resources, where if I'm a young person with a dream, my dream is fully realized. I see the potential of digital innovation in that. Only if we trust and listen to young people. Young people have the answers. We have the answers. We have experienced these things. We know the things we want. We know what the future holds for us. And if we are taken seriously, we will be able to transform this world to be better for every young person, regardless of where you're coming from. We won't have to worry about war. We won't have to worry about these big problems our world is facing, because young people would have been given a seat at the table. They would have been allowed to air out their views and allowed to inform policies, allowed to inform the direction that digital innovation, takes. Those are the hopes I have for the future. I don't want to worry about what my mother will eat or what I will eat. I want to be able to wake up and think about yoga, and just really move freely as a person and not worry about these big problems that the world is facing. But this is only possible if we trust young people and see them as partners in development and use innovation and digital innovation as a tool to make lives better for young people.
Thank you very much. I think we can all agree with you there, Primrose. And actually, on that note, I'll just give it over back to Imani right away. On that note, based on everything you both have just said about your hopes for the future, what advice would you give a young person who wants to lead in the digital space, and especially in relation to, overcoming common challenges or certain, issues that we all might have experienced?
I would say, to the young people today, any young person who is listening to this session, that be you. When you are you, you will know what you want, how to go about it, and do not be like fear who will say what about something that I'm doing. just have confidence and on what you are doing, provided that it's right and you are not breaking any law, any country law or something. So I think you should be a self motivation of yourself, and also trust on what you are doing. But also I think I should tell young person that we hold our future. We know exactly what we want. And if we know exactly what we want, let's stand for ourselves. Let's push, let's hold of the hands of our fellow young people, because we cannot be equal. The sad truth may be that everyone doesn't want to hear it, that we are not equal. I have my talent, Prim has her talent, Johanna, you have your talent. So when we meet together and discuss together and share the collective ways of solving the challenges that we see in our entire world, that means we are going to make the world a safe place for everyone, regardless our color, our differences, people with disabilities and all that. So I think we should work together as partners and not seeing each other as a threat.
Thank you very much. I can just say again, that's so true. I can only agree with you. Primrose, would you like to add anything?
Firstly, I want to thank you for this honor to just really share my advice to other young people, and to young people watching me right now and listening to this. Every day is International Youth Day. The 12th of August is probably the day that everyone remembers that, oh, let's celebrate young people, but make every day International Youth Day. We are the change that we've been waiting for. You know, no one is going to like give us the button stick and tell us that it's time to lead. You need to be bold and to be brave. Take away fear. If you're thinking about doing an innovation, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to start small, you know. Start today, and you can do it. I think all the big ideas started somewhere, you know, in a garage, or you know. So do not let the fire inside of you be put out by fear or by discouragement. You know, build allies, find like-minded people, partner with people that believe in your dreams, surround yourself with people that have positive energy, that give you the power to drive forward. We have, for example, at Restless Development, the youth collective that is supercharging youth power every day. We're in this session together because Botnar Foundation brought us together. That's the power of allyship. Create allies and make it work for yourself. And finally, I think I need to say this about digital innovation, actually, because in the interactions we have with young people from all over the world is the need to always think about digital safety. Think about your own safety. Think about the safety of those around you, because we've heard how sometimes some harassment migrates from online spaces to physical spaces. By using digital tech to raise your voice, you could be targeted, and then you find yourself maybe, you know, being exposed to risk and harm. So digital safety also is also just really needed. But finally, nothing about us without us. The world is waiting for us. We are the people that the world is waiting for to change the world. No one is going to do this for us unless if we take up a stand and do it ourselves.
Thank you so much. On that quote you just said, nothing about us without us. Actually, I'd like to ask you both, what are you most excited for about the Youth Power Summit? And how do you think that event, you know, will actually enable young change makers to influence policy globally and decision making? Maybe Imani, would you like to pick that up?
I think there is this saying, say that in Kiswahili we say kuona ni kuamini, which means to see is to believe. Yeah. So there is that young person there somewhere who has a very nice innovation idea, digital innovation idea, or even not digital innovation idea, but something that has a contribution in making the world a better place, but hasn't yet started. Yeah. So this summit is going to wake him or her up, because he or she will see the fellow vibrant young people are there meeting together, saying their needs and wants, making the solution together, making the decision while representing all young people around the world. So I think this is going not only to be an inspiration or motivation, but it's also is going to be someone, to work someone, not to say, aha, I have a dream, but to say, wow, I'm going to start today, as Prim says, start where you are. So I think this summit is going to to work up someone's dream and to make it alive. But also what's exciting me more is that when many people meet together, if I had the idea of having maybe Dig It with Imani, the podcast, someone could tell me why you couldn't have initiated Dig It with Imani application, so that some people who have experienced the cyberbullying, because we want the digital space which is safe and secured, can report what they experience, and maybe the app will connect them with people, with psychologists who will also make them heal. Yeah, maybe that will be the place where other people, other digital innovators will sell their products. So means when you meet, you talk together, you are expanding your ideas, you are learning from other people. And when you get the new ideas, new awareness, new education, I can come here in Tanzania and localize that initiative, make it work to Tanzanian youth, to Tanzanian people. Prim mentioned we should make the relevant digital innovation. So that means if I get the idea in New York, the idea probably has worked in New York, but in Tanzania I have to sharpen it again so that it can be relevant to Tanzanian youth. So what I can say, I really looking forward for it, and I can't wait to meet the fellow vibrant young people making difference around the world.
Thank you so much, Imani. Primrose, right over to you. Would you like to add anything to that? How do you feel about the Youth Power Summit?
Thank you so much. I feel so excited about the Youth Power Summit in New York. It's happening on the 21st and 22nd of September. And I think, like I mentioned earlier, it's happening at the margins of the summit of the future, which means that all important world leaders will be convening in New York to talk about the future of young people, the future of the world, and the future as it stands in terms of development. So having young people in this space at this time, I think is very historic. And what really excites me is that the Youth Power Summit is actually curated by young people. Young people are at the center of shaping what it should look like. It's going to strengthen, their active citizenship. It's going to give them the equal global responsibility of shaping how the world should look like, just like funders and decision makers. You don't realize what Botnar Foundation has done here. They've created this even safe platform, and they've brought a number of partners like Restless Development, Shape History, to curate and create a space and a convening for young people to really define what their future looks like and what their future should be like. And the fact that it's youth-led for me is really a very important component of how it's just shaping out as well. And then in this space, I think there will be a lot of interactions, and changes. I think currently, we are in the process of actually selecting young people from the majority world to come and showcase and lead sessions within this space. So outside of shaping what the future should look like, it will be a space where young people can learn from each other and learn what is working in different contexts to replicate it in other contexts as well. So for me, I think all this just makes me very excited. And the fact that, you won't actually need a pass to get into the summit. It's an open space for every young person. Just makes it very, very, very conducive to be a space where innovation can be created for the future.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think we're all getting really, really excited about the event. It's in September, like Primrose just said. And as we wrap up, I have one more question for you both. So I would really like to invite you both to share your, key message or a call to action in like 1 or 2 sentences, that can leave our audience with today regarding youth participation in digital innovation and global decision making? Maybe Imani, would you like to share one very simple message?
So, one or two statements, I would say, do not wait, start today.
That's really good. Do you know where it starts today? I guess it's all about, we all have ideas, but we actually need to make us. Why not
Yeah.
say, right?
Yeah.
Primrose, do you have one final message
Yes.
for our audience?
My final message is that digital tech innovation can have far-reaching positive, impact on development, but we need to make it equitable. We need to make it human-centered. We need to make it safe, and we need to make it appropriate. We need to listen and trust young people because they have the answers in terms of how they think digital innovation can improve their lives.
Well, thank you very much. That was really, really inspiring. I agree. If no one listens, nothing will change. So let's listen. Thank you both very, very much, Manny and Primrose, for your valuable insights. This has been a fantastic conversation, and I'm sure our audience really benefited from your perspectives as well. And also, thank you to everyone that has been watching. We will see you again soon at the Youth Power Summit.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Happy
Thank you.
International
Bye.
Youth Day.